I got to play the music, EB. It's time to break down the Commanders' schedule. First official wins and losses prediction from the Junks. It's an annual tradition. We've been doing it for many, many years.
Mark, can you give me a pen?
Here, you can borrow mine.
Okay,
I've already broken
How many
mine
times
down.
do we usually do this?
I don't know.
At least 2 or 3. I mean,
I know
wanted
there's
to do
one.
it earlier.
I don't think we've ever gone more than 3. I think it's usually 2.
I know there's one right after the release, and then one after the final preseason game.
Yeah. I think that's
Sounds about
usually
right.
it.
so one in mid-May and one generally in late August, early September.
Yes.
All right. Let's do it. Let's start going around the horn.
Have you already done this?
I have a number right here I'm looking at.
I haven't done it
Yeah.
on purpose. I've
done
intentionally
it.
saved
I
it
waited.
for now.
I've already done this.
And this is all, by the way, Tingle.
Kelsey sent me one yesterday. She did it. She had them at 10 and 7.
Oh, don't say anything. Oh, don't. Well, okay.
All right, well, let's
Doesn't
lead
matter.
off. Here's the opener. September 7th, Giants come to Northwest Stadium. It's EB's favorite. It's a 1 o'clock Sunday kickoff.
So the Giants gave them 2 tough games last year. Could have won.
Mm-hmm.
Russell Wilson takes over. That should be an improvement for them at quarterback.
Wasn't the second Giants game a blowout on the Commanders side? I don't think the second game was close.
Okay.
The first game was close, though.
The Scattaboo's going to be their running back. They've got Abdul Carter. They may be an improved team. They're not going to beat the Commanders in that opener.
I find it hard to believe that's a big dub for my boys.
I also have a W at home for the Commanders to start the season.
I think the opening line is Commanders minus 7.5.
All right, so Vegas
significant
likes the
fave.
Commanders too. All right, so we have a clean sweep, dubs for the Commanders in week 1 at home. Then you got a short week. Travel to Green Bay for Amazon Prime, 8:15 kick from Lambeau Field. How do you think the Commanders fare here, JP?
Yeah.
I'm higher on Green Bay than you. We have a $5 bet now in the bet book because I believe they'll finish top 2 in the NFC North. I think on a short week, home game, going to Green Bay, the Commanders lose that game.
There's just no way normally I would actually pick Green Bay, but this team's just special. There's just no way I'm picking them there, especially early in September. Assume the weather will be, reasonable. Listen, we could easily lose it, but I'm picking my boys.
By the way, Cakes, the Giants games both were close last season. There was no blowout. There was 21-18 in week 2 and 27-22 in week 9.
I'm incorrect then. I'm going to be a little weird here. I think the Commanders are better than the Packers, but I think a short week trip to Lambeau is not easy for anybody. So I have the Commanders taking an L to start the season 1-1. All right, let's move on to week 3. Commanders back at home. Another 1 p.m. kickoff as the Vegas Raiders come to town. What do you think happens here, EB?
Winner. I just can't see a scenario where we don't win. I mean, there's just no way. We could do this a million times.
Yeah.
I might flip my prediction on the Packer game.
Right.
I'll always pick us against this Raider team.
Okay.
Now, this is Geno Smith at quarterback.
Correct. Got to deal with Ashton Genty, stud running back, their top pick.
That's why we got Kinlaw. Not too worried about him. I got to start now.
Commanders are going to win.
3-0.
Yeah, I have, the
3-0,
I have the Commanders winning this. I just look at quarterback matchups. Is Geno Smith going to outduel Jaden Daniels at Northwest Stadium? I don't think so. I have the Commanders moving to 2-1. Week 4, a road trip to Atlanta. This is a 1 p.m. kickoff on CBS.
I'm picking my boys. Who's going to be starting at quarterback for
Michael
them?
Penix Jr.
Yeah, I'm picking my boys. Give me that.
You got to do your obligatory. They're the Falcons.
I mean, they are the Falcons.
They're Atlanta.
Now, that's a rematch game.
Yeah.
And that was one of the Cardiac Commanders games for Jaden Daniels and Washington. They pulled it out in overtime. Close game in Atlanta. But I think Washington gets out to a 3-1 start, so I'll give them the win.
Bijan Robinson scares me, but not to the point where I wouldn't pick the Commanders in this game. I have the Commanders off to a 3-1 start with a win over the Falcons.
By the way, I think we did this bit without Jason last year, or was it without you? I remember doing this the first time and somebody was missing.
I think it might have been me. Because you just kept hounding me about getting my
because we
picks
didn't
in the
have
bet
everybody's
book.
records.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to week 5. This is a long road trip for the Commanders. They face the LA Chargers at SoFi. That's a 4:25 kick on October 5th.
This is where it gets a little dicey for me. 5-0. 5-0.
Oh, you're off to a 5-0 start.
5-0. Yeah.
That is impressive.
Go ahead.
All right,
5-0.
JP, what do you think they do against the Chargers?
So, you guys know I'm a big Harbaugh believer.
Yeah, you love the Harbaughs.
His first season, a little underwhelming. Although he took the Chargers to the playoffs, Herbert was a disaster in the playoff game. I think they're going to take the next step because I do believe in Harbaugh. You have them at home. Back-to-back weeks, Washington goes from Atlanta to L.A. I've got them beating the Falcons, but I think they'll fall to the Chargers.
I think the fact that the Chargers are going to be relentless running the ball, and that was one of the real Achilles heels of this team, and they're going to just force-feed Najee Harris and Omarion Hampton. Like, those guys are going to see the ball a lot in this matchup. I have the Commanders losing a close one to the L.A. Chargers. I have them at 3-2 through 5 weeks.
All right.
All right, next we have the Bears coming back for the rematch of the Hail Mary game. That's a Monday night especial from Northwest Stadium.
Well,
8:15 kick.
We will be the talk of the NFL. 6-0.
Okay.
6-0 win over the Bears.
Very good.
So they were fortunate to beat them last year. I think this year they'll give the boots to them. Higher scoring games, I think Caleb and the Bears are going to be pretty good, but Washington's a better team.
I want to see how Ben Johnson has an impact on that offense and the development of Caleb Williams, but let's be honest. Jaden Daniels greater than signed Caleb Williams. He wins the matchup again. I have the Commanders off to a 4-2 start with a win over the Bears. Week 7.
We're in lockstep right now, Cakes.
The Commanders travel to Dallas for a 4:25 kick. This is on October 19th.
This is where I'll just give Dallas a little credit. Assume Dak is back and healthy. I feel like splitting with them would be reasonable. Lose at Dallas. We're not going to go undefeated. So I go, I'll take a loss at Dallas.
JP?
I think they'll beat the Cowboys. I'm kind of looking ahead at the schedule. I think that their eyes might be on Kansas City, but they got to beat Dallas.
I have them with a road win at Dallas. I mean, you're 7 weeks in. This could be George Pickens already, being a nightmare in the locker room and just spreading discontent. But I have them winning on the road against the Cowboys.
Now, if it's Cooper Rush at quarterback, they might lose because they don't seem to beat Cooper Rush.
Well,
Cooper Rush is in Baltimore,
yes.
so yeah.
He's gone.
Yeah. All right, week 8, huge matchup at the Kansas City Chiefs. They go to Arrowhead. EB, how do you see this one playing out?
I think it's a tough place to play, and they still have Pat Mahomes. And I think we're the sexiest team in the league, but I don't think we're the best team in the league. So I'll give a nod of respect to the Chiefs and allow the Chiefs to have a dub there. So I have them after a 6-0 start, stumbling a little bit to 6-2.
I keep waiting for the Chiefs to start sucking at some point. It doesn't happen. So I'll take the Chiefs in that matchup in Kansas City.
I posited that Jaden Daniels was a better quarterback in a 9-game stretch than Patrick Mahomes this past season. I still believe that. So there's no way I'm not going to pick Jaden Daniels in a huge primetime opportunity against Patrick Mahomes. Yes, I know it's on the road. I know it's at Arrowhead. And I know the Chiefs are talented. But I'm still going to pull the upset here by picking the Commanders to win on the road. By the way, I have them on a 3-game heater at this point. All right, let's move to week 9. The Seattle Seahawks come to town. That is a 8:20 Sunday night affair at Northwest Stadium. EB, how do you see the Commanders faring at Sam Darnold and company?
That's a win. That's a win. Again, not that much respect for Sam Darnold.
JP?
I find it hard to believe that Seattle with Sam Darnold is going to come all the way to Northwest Stadium and get a dub on a Sunday night game. Not going to happen. Jaden's going to deliver. The Commanders will improve to 6-3, I believe, on my sheet.
I have the Commanders on a 4-game heater by topping the Seahawks in week 9 at Northwest Stadium. That's a lot of W's in a row. All right, let's move on to Week 10. This should be a huge NFC tilt as the Lions come into Northwest Stadium. That's a 4:25 kick. That is one of your national games of the week on Fox.
I know there's going to be revenge on... Man, it's hard. I mean, we smoked them so bad. It's like almost impossible to justify picking the Lions, but they will have revenge on their minds. I don't know what to do with this one. I think this is going to be a really tough game. It's at home, though, right, Kay?
It's at home at Northwest Stadium.
Hold on.
It's hard for me to pick.
They're the Lions, and Jared Goff sucks. You got the.
I know, but they're a good team.
The double play.
I know. All right, you convinced me. I'll take the dub. It's hard to pick the Lions after we smoked them, but I know they'll play better.
All right, I'm going to do a visual representation. All right, Jaden Daniels.
Yeah.
Greater than sign.
Yeah.
Jared Goff.
Well, that's not even close. I mean, that's a given.
So I'm going to pick the Commanders at home. That's 5 dubs in a row.
Yeah,
at least on my sheet.
I think the Commanders are going to have a great year, but even last year when they had a great year at 12-5, they lost 3 games in a row in the middle. They're going to be games that you drop. I'll have them losing to the Lions, even in a home game. The Lions should have a much healthier team. Washington benefited from that. And kind of that do theory, Jared Goff is not going to throw 4 or 5 interceptions against them this time. He's due for at least a decent game against Washington.
Could throw for 2 or 3.
So what do you have?
I have Washington losing that game.
Yeah, see, I think that's possible. Definitely possible.
All right, brush up on your Espanol. We're going to board a flight to Madrid for Week 11 as the Commanders take on the Miami Dolphins. It's a home game for the Dolphins in Madrid.
Yeah.
Van a ganar. They're going to win.
I mean, they were pretty putrid last year, weren't they, Miami?
The Dolphins were not very good.
Yeah. What did they add in the offseason? They bolster their...
I'd have to look at their
lines,
additions and subtractions.
I don't know.
I know they went big in the draft. They drafted a lot of beefy offensive and defensive linemen.
I think Tua will probably have another concussion, probably miss the game. Who's their backup now? Did they address that situation? I think they did. I will take.
Miami wasn't horrible. They're 8-9.
8-9. I will. Yeah, but they had huge expectations going in. I'll take the Skins.
I also have the Commanders topping the Dolphins in the international game. All right, we'll take a break.
We're heading into the bye week.
We're heading into the bye, so
what do you have
take a break as
well.
well.
What do you have them at right at this point?
I mean, I only have them with 2 L's so far.
So I do too. I'm 9-2 heading into the bye week.
I mean, that is an amazing way to start the season.
I've met 7-4. By the way, Zach Wilson would be your backup to Tua with Ewers as their third stringer.
That is gross. If you want to weigh in on our schedule pick so far, you're welcome to do so on an open line Thursday. 800-636-1067 is the number. When we come back, we will come out of the bye week and we'll pick the remainder of the schedule and give you our final predictions for the first rendition of our schedule predictions for the Commanders. We'll be right back. Experts to last. Window Nation for your home because it's where you live. We're in the midst of our first official schedule prediction for the Commanders in 2025. We're at the bye week, week 12, an earlier bye week this week than several years prior, which is good for the team, I think. EB and I both have the Commanders at 9-2 heading into the bye. JP is a little more pessimistic, has the Commanders at 7-4.
By the way, Valdez, in honor of you and my appreciation for your opinion, I ordered my ashwagandha gummies. So
I can't wait for your review.
They're supposed to arrive today between 2 and 6.
So
they often lie. They often lie, but hopefully that's correct.
Are you gonna have? If you get them today, can I get an ashwagandha review tomorrow?
100%. I hope they come. A lot of times they say it'll be there, one day, and it's not. But
did you read like all the benefits and?
Yeah, and somebody told me it's also good for your pencil. So I was like, all right, you know what? I'm all in.
Side benefit.
If you had any doubt, let's just go.
The two most important things, sleep and pencil.
Right, exactly. All right, where are we, Cakes?
All right, we are heading into Week 13 as the Commanders will be hosting the Denver Broncos. That is a shocker. 8:20 p.m. kick on NBC. Sunday Night Football coming out of the bye week. By the way, that ends the October and November where there is not one single 1 p.m. kickoff, much to your chagrin, EB.
Yeah, listen, I think Denver's decent. I think they're a team on the rise. I think Bo Nix is decent. But I think our guy's way better. I'm taking my boys. Winning.
I'm with Mr. Bickle. I believe they beat the Broncos at home. Helps to have the bye week beforehand.
I called Bo Nix Bo Picks for his first few weeks, and then he really improved as a rookie. But I don't think he's good enough to outduel Jaden Daniels in the national spotlight. I have the Commanders winning coming out of the bye. By the way, that's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have the Commanders on a 7-game win streak.
That's a fun heater.
7-game win streak, EB.
I hope you're right. That'll be a fun 2 months.
All right, next up, the Commanders hit the road. They go to US Bank Stadium. They take on the Minnesota Vikings in Week 14. 1 p.m. kick, EB.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't know what you're going to get from J.J. McCarthy. I think that Minnesota is going to slide back a little bit this year. Darnold had an unbelievable year for him last year. Sure, it was tough to make that decision. I think Washington goes into Minnesota and gets a dub.
I'm bullish on J.J. McCarthy, and I love Kevin O'Connell. I think he's an offensive mastermind. I mean, look at the year he got out of Sam Darnold, aside from him blowing a tire at the end in the last 2 or 3 games. I think this win streak for the Commanders has to come to an end at some point, so I have them dropping a game to the Vikings in Week 14. I have an L here.
I don't know where I stand on it, but I'm going with my boys. Win. Dub. As long as Jaden's still healthy, win.
All right, Week 15, another road affair for the Commanders. We're getting toward the end of the sked here. December 14th at the Giants division game, 1 p.m. on Fox.
This is where I'll give the Giants a little credit. I do think that Daboll's a decent coach. I don't know. I think they'll be better. I do think Malik Neighbors is an absolute monster. I'm just going to give them a win there, so a loss for my boys at New York.
I agree with EB. Now, I have them beating Minnesota on the road, but I think that this is where you might have a little bit of a letdown.
Yeah.
Last year, you beat the Giants 21-18 in the first game. That was the Malik Neighbors drop, and their kicker went down. That was Week 2.
Mm-hmm.
And then in Week 9, Washington had kind of a bigger lead. The Giants fought back, but it ended up being 27-22. So I think the Giants play them tough. It's a division game late in the season. I'll say Washington falls there.
EB, we could be 6 or 7 games into the Jackson Dart era by Week 15.
No,
and I'll take Jaden Daniels versus Jackson Dart in under 10 starts in his career.
But remember how close they were?
100 times out of 100.
Remember how close they were last year, though, when Neighbors dropped the ball?
I remember.
And that was with freaking Daniel Jones.
But you know what that is?
Right?
That's rearview mirror, my friend. I look forward.
Yeah.
I don't look back at him having butterfingers and dropping the ball on the sideline.
I'm just saying that's how close they were.
I
think
have them
they'll be better.
with a W against the Giants on the road.
Right.
Week 16, the Commanders will host the Philadelphia Eagles. Shocker, it's another primetime game. Time to be determined for this game. Not scheduled yet.
Look, I'm just going to pay deference to them. I think that they're an excellent football team, and they kind of humiliated us in the playoffs. They gave us a beatdown. I think we have a lot to prove. It is a home game, but until proven otherwise, I think you have to say I think the Eagles are better. So I'm going to say a loss.
Yeah, I'm going to have Washington losing there, which would be only their second home loss on my schedule of the season. Have them kind of in a precarious position. I told you I hadn't done this before. I have them at 9-6 right now.
Mm.
What was the Vegas over-under? Is it 9.5?
9.5 games.
I think I'll go over, but
I have the Commanders with a home win against the Philadelphia Eagles. They beat them at Northwest last season. I think Jaden Daniels could easily outduel Jalen Hurts or whoever the backup is. If it's not Hurts, he beat Kenny Pickett this past year. I have them with a win against the Eagles at home in Week 16.
That, of course, was a crazy game where they put up 36.
Yep.
And they need to thank Devontae Smith for a drop in that one.
Yep. Just hold on to the ball, Devontae Smith. You win the game. All right, now we move to Christmas. We have a 1 p.m. kick on Netflix. The Dallas Cowboys are in town for the final home game of the season.
It's another short week, but it will be an exciting day. I expect the stadium to be packed, even though it is on Christmas Day. I'll take my boys over the Cowboys on Christmas.
Yeah, I think you got to win this game.
Santa's going to give us a dub.
I think you got to win this game at home. The crowd is going to be on fire.
Yeah.
Even though there are some grumpy people that are upset that they're playing on Christmas, I think the crowd is going to be crazy, and Washington gets a win.
I think we have a clean sweep here. I have the Commanders winning. Dallas could be in a free fall by this point in Week 17. I like the Commanders at home. All right, now we're to the final game of the season at the Eagles. We're not sure exactly when this game will kick. I see a lot of to be determines on the Commanders website, but we know they finished the season at the link.
Will it for sure be on Sunday, or could they flex it to another time?
I have Week 18, date TBD, at the Eagles. Yeah. Time to be determined, because this could get flexed.
Yes. Also, could be resting starters.
Yeah, I think that's a big factor. That's why I'm actually going to go with Washington to win, because I think Philly is loaded. They were loaded last season. What'd they draft? All defense basically this year. Got to replace a few guys. Their whole offense is coming back. So I'll give Washington the win.
A win, but just because they're going to be resting their starters.
Yeah.
Slap in the face.
Yeah, kind of.
I know.
Well, I have a split. I have them losing at home and then winning on the road, which I don't like. But yeah, I do.
I have them taking an L to close the season. Not many L's on my pick sheet over here.
I just got to go with my instinct. My instinct is it's going to be a loss, so I'm gonna say a loss. Just the Eagles are a good football team, so I'm gonna say we lose there. Kind of lose 3 of the last 4. I think it's a tough stretch down, to end the season.
I have it completely flip-flopped. I have them winning 3 of their last 4.
Wow.
All division games, by the way.
You got them at 14-3?
No.
We'll go around the room. JP, what is your final first run-through schedule-wise for the Commanders?
11-6. That's a damn good season. Not as good as last season.
11-6 is outstanding.
I guess I have them duplicating last season. I have them 12-5.
I have the Commanders with lucky 13 wins.
13-4.
It's a 1-game improvement from last season.
Right.
They're better offensively. They bring in Debo. They hugely upgrade the offensive line by bringing in Tunsil, and hopefully Connerly's the real deal as the first-round pick to solidify the right side for Jaden Daniels. It's wheels up, baby. 13 wins. 13 of them.
Hey, you were the most correct last year.
The most correct.
But we're all pretty optimistic.
It's always good to be the most correct.
We all have them at 11 or more wins.
I think the schedule's tougher.
Yeah, it is.
The only thing that I would worry about is what some of these people say is the analytics people that say they won all these close games. So kind of using the Junkies do theory, they might lose some of these close games this year. Last year to get to 12 wins, they won on a Hail Mary.
They're not going to go 5-0 like when they're trailing in the fourth quarter.
Didn't that happen with Minnesota when they started out 8-0 and then they won a bunch of games by the skin of their teeth?
Sounds right.
And then they kind of regressed.
Came back to earth.
Yeah, they came back to earth.
Yeah. I mean, it definitely could happen.
Hold on. So do you have them winning the division with that record? Takes 13 wins. That's a division win, isn't it?
13 wins. I mean, it might be a division winner. I mean, I haven't really done a deep dive on division winner, but 13 wins generally wins you your division.
I would assume no. I would assume the Eagles have a slightly better.
I mean, maybe the Eagles go 15-2 or 14-3. I don't know.
Yeah. I have the Eagles probably still winning.
NFC East is going to be very top-heavy this year, Valdez, in my opinion.
Yeah.
It's going to be Eagles, Commanders, and then you're going to have the have-nots, the Cowboys, and the Giants. It's fighting for scraps.
I don't necessarily think that.
Well, that's fine. You can think however you want to think. This is how I think.
Mike Moore, did you go through the schedule yourself as we did?
Yeah, I've broken it down on my big board.
All
the
right,
NFL has an agenda. They want Jaden Daniels and the Commanders to be the next face of the NFL. I've seen the script. Commanders are going 13-4.
Oh, yeah.
And
let's go.
And FanDuel is doing this pretty cool thing. I don't know if you guys saw it. You put $100 in today, and in February, you get $2,000 Because the Commanders are winning the Super Bowl this year, baby.
Look at that. That's quite a promotion.
So
they're
are
running.
you doing that? Are you putting a Hunsky on?
Yeah, but I'm
Skids?
gonna wait a little bit because I know in like July and August, DraftKings and FanDuel they give you this like promo where it's like 25% boost on any team to win the Super Bowl. So I'm gonna wait and boost that number up to like plus 2,800, plus 3,000. Kind of play the numbers a little bit.
All right, if you want to weigh in on our first schedule predictions, you're welcome to do that at 800-636-1067. Are we too bullish on the Commanders at this point? JP has them with 11 wins. EB has them with 12 wins. I have them with 13 wins.
I mean, if I want to be pessimistic, I could easily see them losing at Green Bay, which I have a dub. I could easily see them losing at the Chargers, which I have a dub.
Mm-hmm.
I could see them losing to the Bears, to be honest with you, and I have a dub. So my range is probably anywhere from like 8 or 9 to 12.
There's no ranges here. This is a prediction.
No, I'm going 12.
You're walking. You're trying to walk the picks back already.
Yeah.
I'm not.
It's already on social media.
Yeah.
I'm on the record for 12.
Okay,
but I'm just saying.
No asterisk this year, like last year?
No, 12. I got 12.
Okay.
I'm going optimistic.
All right.
But I'm telling you.
That's a wide range. 8 or 9 to 12.
No, but that's a reasonable range.
I think it's reasonable. I think that if it goes south, these are the games where it could go south. We could lose to Green Bay. We could lose to the Chargers. We could lose to the Bears.
Not playing poker here. There are ranges to read.
We could lose to the
dealing in
Lions.
absolutes, my friend.
Everything else I'm pretty comfortable with, but I do have us winning 3 or 4 games where we could very easily lose.
I mean, I'll be honest. I almost made it 14-3 because I was wavering between the Green Bay game in week 2. I think they're better than Green Bay, but I just feel like that could be an early season short week stumble.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that's keeping me from picking the Commanders.
Right.
Part of me wants to make it 14, but I tempered myself by only picking 13
maybe the
wins.
second go around you'll creep up to 14.
Second go around, I may pick 14 or 15 wins. I mean, I might go a little crazy.
Feeling frisky.
I might put it out there.
Do you have a sense? Were you picking wins and losses along the way, or not really?
Yeah, I was kind of doing my own thing over here. I had them at 10-7.
10-7, all right.
The thing that scares me is that all of the teams they play seem to have kind of explosive, maybe too big of a word,
right.
But they have decent offenses, and I think the Commanders' defense is their biggest question mark. Jaden Daniels doesn't play defensive end.
He doesn't, but he can be the trigger man for an offense that scores 30-plus points a game.
I'm worried about the number of shootouts that the team's gonna be in.
Okay.
And you just wonder, they did get fortunate last year by playing nubs quarterbacks along the way, like Will Levis. They played Jake Hayner, Spencer Rattler. They faced Penix when he was just starting out. Are they going to have that run of facing nubby quarterbacks again?
It's the beauty of the league, JP. You never know. It's a week-by-week league. You don't know what the injuries are going to look like. You don't know what the personnel you're facing is going to look like. But
you don't know. You don't know. Some teams are going to be much more improved during the season,
certainly,
and other teams are going to fall off or could have an injury.
That said, they've got Jaden Daniels back, which is the biggest factor.
As long as they keep him upright. He gives them a legit chance every week.
All right, next we want to take your calls at 800-636-1067. Give us your first blink at the schedule prediction for the Commanders, and tell us your favorite game on the slate as the schedule was released last night. We'll take your calls on that next at 800-636-1067.